Hello, this is Michael Bayless.
Hey, my name is Tom Pasquarello.
Hi, I'm Janice Silver.
Hi, I'm Michael Sullivan.
Hello, my name is John Wilders.
Hi, my name is Ryan Beatrice.
Hi, my name is AJ Laird.
Hi everyone, my name is Tommy. I am a background actor and this is for Out of Focus.
Hello, this is Michael Bayless. I would say one of the most famous movies I ever worked on was Wayne's World Part 2. And what we had to do is a crowd surfing scene. I think we filmed it over at the LA Sports Arena. And we had to carry Mike Myers and his co-star through the crowd and carrying them back to the stage for the crowd surfing. And take after take, I was getting a little exhausted and distracted, and I dropped Mike Myers. Yes. He almost hit the ground. He was a total gentleman about it. He was a beautiful man. That was one of the highlights of meeting Mike Myers. But the director just screamed, "Cut!" Of course, that was a cut. And no one knew exactly who dropped him, but if you looked around and compared biceps, I was the smoking gun. So.
Hi, I'm Michael Sullivan, and you may have seen me in dozens of TV series and feature films in the background, sometimes for almost a full second at a time. I'm primarily a background actor, and over the past 3 years I've performed ever so briefly in shows like Abbott Elementary, The Rookie, 911 Lone Star, All-American, Hacks, NCIS Origins, Paradise, Bosch Legacy, Bel Air, Monster, SWAT, A Man on the Inside, Running Point, The Studio, Forever, Ballard, Dexter, Original Sin, St. Dennis Medical, All's Fair, Euphoria, The Lincoln Lawyer, and several feature films that you haven't heard of yet, but maybe you will someday because they're not out yet. My most visible appearance ever was in the 17th episode of season 19 of Grey's Anatomy in an episode called Come Fly With Me. I sit down next to Chandra Wilson's Dr. Bailey in the observation room, and for a solid 2 or 3 seconds, I am dead center on your TV screen.
Hi, I'm Janice Silver. You might have seen me in Orange is the New Black. I played an inmate, and I was wearing a pink prison uniform, not orange, because there were several different colors. And I guess it was very representative of reality, which is that people hang out with people who are most like them. So of course they put me with the old ladies, or, older ladies. And I hung out in the prison yard and in the prison gym with the other older ladies. And I actually got locked in a cell by mistake, and I was panicking, and luckily the guard came by and I said, "Help, get me out." And it turned out the guy was an actor just like me, not an actual guard, and he didn't have the key. So it took me like about a half hour to get out of there. And then that scene wasn't even in the show.
My name is Tommy. I'm from New York City. I'm a background actor. You may have seen me in Let's Make a Deal. I was a contestant there. My title was The Viking. You may also see me in The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Lived with Rick and Michonne. Over there, I played a soldier, an army man. So we had on uniforms and a mask on. If you know the series, all the army people have masks on over there. But you'll recognize me because I am the one who is posing like Bane. So Bane has a vest too, and he holds his vest like this from the DC universe. And I just thought the way to identify myself from the crowd would be just to have a different pose. So if you see a soldier holding the vest like this, know that's me in The Walking Dead.
My name is Ryan Beatrice. I'm 35 years old, and I'm a professional actor from a little outside of Pittsburgh, PA, in a town called Monaca. I'd say the biggest show or the most famous show that I played background in would have to be Mayor of Kingstown. I was an inmate for season 3. I did a lot of the general population scenes, as well as I played basketball and did some other fun scenes. However, it wasn't directly just me. The biggest scene I did with them would have been in season 4. I played the prison tattoo artist, and there's a scene of just me giving a pick and poke tattoo with guitar string, and it's just me and the other gentleman's arm in the scene. It was a lot of fun and probably the most seen one for me.
My name is AJ Laird, and the biggest background part I think I've ever had would have been Chicago PD. This would be season 9, episode 14. I got to be a featured extra, so not hard to miss because I was a corpse that was discovered that had fallen down a flight of steps. So definitely prominent in the shots that I was in there, for sure.
Hello, my name is John Wilders. I'm an actor, voice actor, and writer from the Nashville, Tennessee area. And throughout my acting career, I have done a lot of background work. Now, as a background extra, I think the most famous project that I've ever been a background character on has been probably the 2014 movie Dolphin Tale 2 with Morgan Freeman. I was actually in the background wearing the all yellow, which you can see in this scene here. It was the dolphin release scene in the movie. And there I am right there in yellow. That's me.
Hey, my name is Tom Pescarello. One of my favorite scenes I ever did, which I also came up with the idea. It wasn't in the script, which I'm very proud of. And it's from a movie that's streaming on Tubi right now called The Silent Crisis. Please definitely check it out. I was a cop, and toward the end of the movie, after the visual for a young boy that went missing, I came up and I kind of spied, and it was a very creepy look. And I actually wanted the audience to think I had something to do with the disappearance.
The first background gig was really just based on a dare.
I got into background work in February 2023. Before that, I was the director of revenue management. Very boring. Not gonna bother you with the details.
And I had this super jealous roommate who considered himself the next big thing in Hollywood.
I immediately signed up for central casting. I thought, oh, that is so cool.
Because he was so annoying, I thought, let's shut him up.
I saw an ad that they're looking for extra. I thought, well, why not? Let me try it. It was through an agency.
My roommate, who I went to college with, he came home one night and said, hey, I got a background gig on a movie, like a real movie.
I signed up for central casting, and that first gig was on 911 Lone Star.
I found out that it was Prison Break, so I was one of the prison inmates in Prison Break, and I was like just 2-3 rows behind Michael Scofield.
The first day I was there, they said, oh, we need people for Law and Order.
So it was a movie called Roommates. It was starred Peter Falk and D.B. Sweeney and Julianne Moore and Ellen Burstyn and a whole bunch of other people.
I thought I was going to be famous. I was so excited. I remember I called my sister as soon as I left there and I said, I'm going to be on Law and Order. Okay, I didn't know what that actually meant, that it could be 12 hours in a day. And then also, you don't even see yourself on TV.
It was an unremarkable day, really, but the experience was so much fun and more interesting than any day I'd ever experienced at a corporate job.
We signed up for central casting, and within a week, we were regaling this jealous roommate with stories of being on Melrose Place and meeting Heather Locklear and all these movie stars. We're getting checks from Paramount while he's playing a tree in Snow White, so...
The number one tip that I would give to somebody who's looking to get on a major set tomorrow would be keep sending those emails out, keep sending those links.
Just apply everywhere, you never know what would be great for you, what is a good fit for you.
Sometimes I send out 20 a week and I only get back one, sometimes I get back none. But that one always matters to me.
The only secret that I have is that for all those sites, I sit down and I submit to every viable job every single day. Because I'm not in great shape. I'm not good looking. I don't have training. God knows I don't have connections. But by God, the one thing under my control is hitting that submit button every single time I can.
It's pretty easy, really, to get something because you just have to sign up for a lot of different websites. One of the biggest ones is Backstage.
I pay for subscriptions to all the major casting channels, Backstage, Actors Access, Casting Networks, Casting.com, Casting Frontier. Full disclosure, nowadays I use those to apply not just for background, but also for featured gigs.
Definitely do your research and sign up for legitimate agencies. At least in Los Angeles, the biggest agency is Central Casting. They're legit. Never pay anything up front for the promise of stardom. Those are typically scams.
So everyone will say, hey, just be yourself. But that's not really what casting directors always want. You have to be the mold of the character that they want you to fill.
You know, you're seeking the knowledge of like what to do to make yourself better. So like if you have to learn different accent, a different language, if you have to pick up particular skill set, if you need to change particular behavior or your walk or the way you run, just to change things up, just to get noticed by the casting director, do that.
But the key to success is not wanting it too much. Don't stress, go with the flow, to remember that the journey is the destination.
It was a Jack Nicholson movie directed by Sean Penn. It's called The Crossing Guard. Excellent movie. Pretty independent, not well known at all. And once again, I find myself exaggerating my resume, getting myself into trouble, offering myself as a stuntman for this scene. And just for the record, I had no legitimate stunt work. And it turns out Jack Nicholson is getting into a bar fight. And he just went full Hulk rage mode. And we started throwing chairs. And they were coming towards me. And, you know, and they had yelled action. And so suddenly, you don't need acting experience when you're dodging a chair from that Jack Nicholson is trying to kill you with.
Where I basically was a character that was already dead. Throughout most of the movie, I'm basically a dead body by the side of a tree. And I'm bloodied up, and obviously I have no lines. The acting was just me sitting perfectly still. At some point there were spiders that started crawling over me, and yeah, that was quite a unique experience. I was a knight, a guardsman for a evil wizard in a castle, and we had this the costume was very elaborate, but we had this black sock we had to put on our head, and then on top of that this very tight helmet. It was really hard to breathe, really hard to see, and it was in the middle of summer, so being in that costume for 8 hours was very difficult.
I'd say the most unique set life or different style would be working with Mayor of Kingstown, because you're going to prison, you're getting on prison clothes, you're getting an inmate number, you're becoming part of that system. You're getting tattoos possibly, you're getting your makeup and your hair done to look like you've been in prison. When you're sitting in that cell and that gate's coming across, clink, 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 boom! Your heart stops whenever it finally does close, and you're just hoping those mechanics will open it back up again.
I was in the set of Let's Make a Deal, and it was like 30, 40 different, this was during the pandemic, so there was like 30, 40 different like contestants in the background. So we were all virtual, we were recording from our home, and they shot like 3 episodes back to back. So it was like a whole day shoot, and it's for 3 different episodes, and it was just a long day shoot. I was there from like, I think 9 a.m. to like 10 p.m. or something, and the whole time we had to put so much energy. We had to keep laughing and applauding, and it just seemed, we had breaks in between. Let's start with that. We did have breaks in between here and there, but it just felt so tiring and exhausting to be, you know, clapping all the time, yeah, you know, and then that music playing and everyone was dancing, and we were also in our costume, the Viking episode.
I was in a short film called Grand Mafia, where I played a grandmother who was part of a, you know, organized crime situation, and I had to break a bottle over somebody's head. I was still really, really nervous. I thought I was going to hurt him. He said, no, go ahead. It's absolutely fine. There are 4 of them. Luckily, it did work. I smashed the bottle. It smashed into 1,000,000 pieces. No one got hurt. And I was very, very happy not to have caused a major problem and hospitalization with somebody, with one of the very nice actors.
It changes things when you go from shooting a very small scene with a couple people and say an iPhone camera and somebody's holding it to you have real equipment.
On sets, you're of course familiar with the director, and the director has an assistant director, or AD, who manages the cast and crew, keeps production on time schedule. Then there's the second AD, who has a lot of duties, but they're the person in charge of the extras. They're responsible for getting us approved by wardrobe and hair and makeup, and generally keeping track of us all day in scenes. But on a large movie or film set, there's a second AD.
There's one person that literally just sticks a piece of tape on the ground. There's one person that, does the clapper. And when you have all of that, you're like, wow, I've made it to the big leagues now.
And as a background actor on a large set, that's the person that you'll actually communicate with the most.
So sometimes you go to work and you think you're just like this background actor, and you just like, you think that, you're just walking around doing small things, but then they'll be like, you know what, we need you in the front over here. We need you to say things.
They really made me feel like I was part of the main cast. I mean, I had my own trailer. I had a wardrobe fitting, which was hilarious because I was just in a pair of boxers, and really the one was just like, what color you want?
I went on set and I'm the featured person there. Like, it's me and the sales associate, and we have dialogues, and I was not prepared. I'm like, what is this? Like, I need a script right now. I need to memorize things.
As an extra, a lot of times you are in an information-free environment. You don't have a tremendous amount of understanding what's going on when you get there. And you just get very short barked directions. Hey, just pretend you're talking to this person over here. And I would like to give a shout out to the show Bosch Legacy, which had a second AD named John Wayne Marshall. And John Wayne would go around to literally every single one of us and make sure that we'd understand what's happening in the scene. Here's what your character was on his way to do when the scene started. When you hear X, here's the path that I want you to take.
The last shot of the day, the martini shot, they actually brought me outside and laid me down on the ground because they had to take a picture of my hand. The director said, yeah, I didn't care for that prosthetic. Just take him outside and lay him on the ground. So they shot my hand, they just put a blanket over me and they shot my hand on the ground and just kind of CGI'd me out of there. So when you see the episode and when they're walking up to the house and they see a hand on the ground, that's really my hand, and they just erase the rest of me.
You never know what you have to do. You might be switching, you got casted for a hero, now you have to be a villain. So it's just like background work, you just always have to be flexible.
I got hired to be background on a show called Pandora's Box. Well, then it turned out that the director noticed me.
I was asked to do a couple of lines in a Tom Hanks movie called That Thing You Do. He was directing it, and I believe he wrote it as well. Really fun shoot. I was one of the frat boys in the scene, and originally hired as an extra, and I went to break for lunch, and the assistant director ran up to me with a script. He said, Tom Hanks wants a few of you guys to try out these lines. Are you willing to do it? And I'm like, hell yeah.
They asked if I wanted to be featured background as the prison tattoo artist. I said, yes, that sounds like a lot of fun. So I got a scene of just me, having the cameras around me, having the director directing me, having everyone looking at me, giving a pick and poke tattoo to an inmate on a prison TV show on Paramount Plus.
Put me in a position of being the mother of a murderer who coincidentally killed me as well.
And it turned out it was in Spanish. I think the line was La Señora de las Costas. That was the line, and we had to sing it and dance.
I did get killed by my son. However, they didn't show that. So that was very lucky because I think it would have been disturbing.
As an extra, you're a mute. Anytime you're rolling film, you're a mute. And to go from a mute to popping that cork and to be able to express yourself, have these lines, have the cameras on you, the boom guy, the boom microphone over you, and you can go crazy because it was a very energetic, high energy scene. Have Tom Hanks laughing in approval is the ultimate permission. Those moments you get, maybe rare in life, but I felt this electricity.
I have not personally yet gotten, let's say, upgraded, but I have actually gotten downgraded. So he'd be like, I want that guy, that guy, that guy, and that guy. Well, then they would do that. Then the next scene, he'd be like, who hasn't been picked? And then they'd be like, okay, let me get now this guy, and this guy. Well, eventually they did all the scenes and there were still 3 of us left. So sometimes you actually show up and get paid and you don't even have to do any work.
The first thing they tell you is absolutely under no circumstances should you be speaking to any of the actors.
You don't expect the foreground talent to have interactions with background, but when they do, it's incredible.
When I was on And Just Like That, Sarah Jessica Parker was in my scene, and she was so lovely to everyone.
So I once did a commercial with a famous race car driver. I won't name his name. Basically, he had a reputation of kind of being, mean. Basically, after the commercial, somebody went and said like, hey, could I get your autograph or could I get a picture with you? And he did it. And then another person went, and eventually they said, hey, we'll let you guys form a line and you could, come up and take a picture with him.
The biggest celebrity I met on set while working, like my coworker, is Andrew Lincoln and Tanaya Guerrera.
I'd have to say one of the biggest A-list actors who had an impression on me would be Jeremy Renner. He is an A-list actor, and he is very good with the background actors. He's easy to approach, he's kind, he's really present when he's there acting, and he's great to watch. He was jogging back to his van after we had wrapped one day, and he stopped and had a couple kind words with me.
Rick and Michonne's right here, so to go from like a fan to like, all right, we have to kill some zombies and we have to fight and whatever it is. I don't want to spoil anything, but to go from that transition is just like, it's a little surreal.
And she was freezing outside on the Lincoln Center Plaza, just like we were, and it didn't matter. We all had jobs to do.
I was on an episode of Hacks where Gene Smart's lead character was emceeing a charity event, and between takes, she was chatting with our table. She even sold one of my mediocre jokes. Janelle James, she was just cracking up a group of extras near her on Abbott Elementary.
The hard way lesson. That's a great question. I would say probably my hardest lesson was the first time I became a stand-in. I had an assistant director run up to me and ask me how tall I was. Very eager, knowing she needed somebody, obviously, for something. Like, oh, how tall do you need? I can become that height, yeah. She responded like 5'6", and I'm 6 feet tall. I said, yeah, that's about right. I'm about 5'6". Boom. And then they ushered me into the set.
So this woman throws me an Ohio State football sweatshirt. Now, the bane of my existence is an Ohio State Buckeye fan. I said, ma'am, I appreciate it, but in all good conscience, there is no way I can wear this sweatshirt.
As a stand-in, I didn't know what I was doing it other than I was too tall for the scene, and I'm towering over this other actor when we stand next to each other. And so I quickly kind of just thought, what can I do creatively? I started, when I was standing, to establish the shots, I would spread my legs apart a little bit, kind of subtly, so I would just shrink just a few inches, just enough to keep my job.
She did not find this funny at all and looked me dead in the face and said, you get on that sweatshirt and you get on that set or you get the hell out of here. And I was like, yep, absolutely, no problem. And I put it right on, that's okay.
Nothing is ever on time. They always start late, they always run late. So even if they say, hey, we're gonna record from 2 to 5, my best thing is to usually add 3 hours to the end and 2 hours to the front, but you still have to get there on time. So if they say it's 10 to 12, it is now really 10 to 3, but it won't actually start until an hour or an hour and a half late.
Always bring a book and a notebook with a pen with you, because sometimes you show up on set and either you're in a giant warehouse with zero phone reception or even worse, they take your phone away completely. I once did a big cattle call for a commercial in a theater in downtown Los Angeles, and as soon as we arrived, with no indication beforehand, they told us that they were zipping up our phones in those yonder pouches and we wouldn't have access to them until after lunch. Turns out the commercial, which was for Dolby Sound Systems, featured an unannounced appearance by Ed Sheeran. I'm a middle-aged dude. I wouldn't have even recognized Ed Sheeran, let alone tried to take a photo of him and link it to the press or anything, but that's what happens. So,
but the hard lesson really came when I didn't know I had to be uber available, because as an extra, you're usually just wandering around, you have this downtime, but as a stand-in, you're always supposed to be vigilant, at the ready. When they would call me, I didn't realize how fast I needed to be there or how close to camera I should have been. So I was really too casual. They were interrupting my smoke break. They ruined a couple of maybe potential dates I could have made on the set while I was talking to these girls. The director is just hulking out more and more, just screaming for second team, which means the stand-ins. And I was so slow every time getting back that I got fired, by the third day.
If you can be prepared, have your clothes ironed, have like extra change of clothes, because sometimes they'll say bring your clothes, and what if you bring a clothes with logo or something, you know? Definitely being on time. There's a call time and you need to be there. If it's 9 o'clock, just come like 10-15 minutes earlier, just so the casting director gets a head count, like, okay, we have this person.
Literally all you have to do is 4 things. First, bring appropriate clothing options for your character and follow all directions described in the email you received from production. Number 2, let them know when you're leaving the area. Like if you have to use the bathroom or grab a snack from craft services, just be accountable.
Paying attention. Don't have your headphones in when they're talking. Maintain eye contact whenever they are talking so you can understand everything. They are giving a lot of directions. They usually have a headpiece in and they're listening to 10 other people talk while trying to direct you.
Number 3, be ready to go when they call you. Keep your shoes on. Try to track where the camera's moving in case it's going to be at your position. Try to stay awake. Admittedly, I'm not great at that last part. And finally, number 4, shut the hell up when you're on set. There are production assistants whose entire job, at least so far as I can tell, is to walk around the extras and shush them. They are professional shushers.
Don't talk to the actors. Don't ask for autographs. Don't like to take pictures and selfies every 5 seconds. Actors or, big one is like trying to jockey into position to make sure that you're seen in a scene or you're looking right at the camera.
If you feel that little thing coming in your mind, that little extra thing you want to do that might get you noticed, don't do that.
If they change the date 10 times, they want you to then change your schedule 10 times. They don't care if you say, hey, I've already changed it for you 6 times. This 7th time I just can't do. They will simply replace you in 2 seconds.
Anybody who's thinking about being a background actor needs to know that it's very long hours. You can be on the set sometimes for 12 hours, and so you need to, and you're sitting there. You're just sitting at a table. Usually you get a table. You need to bring a book, you need to bring your phone, you need to bring your charger.
You could be there for hours and hours and hours.
You could sit there bored, playing on your phone, doing whatever, reading a book.
Can it get boring? Unbelievably boring sometimes.
I usually try to be productive in 2 ways. One, I bring my laptop and I try to do my regular work while I'm there in the downtime. But always know that when they say they're ready, you got to close that laptop and run.
If you do like to socialize, definitely socialize.
It is the best place to network. Walk around, talk to people, ask them, how long have you been doing this? Where do you usually get your gigs? What platforms do you use? Do you have an agent? And these people will give you information that's worth more money than you'll get in your first 50 gigs.
And even if you're introverted, even if you prefer to just listen to music or read a book, always be open and willing to talk to someone that wants to talk to you.
If you want to be an actor, are you working on scenes? Are you memorizing lines? Are you studying acting on the set? Maybe running lines with other extras?
You're probably a cinephile, so watch the crew as they change out every aspect of entire rooms between takes, or listen to the way the director and the cinematographer speak. They're using so much jargon that at first it's going to seem like a foreign language.
Meet new people. It's not just the actors, it's also the crew. It's the people who are cleaning up after you. It's the people who are serving lunch. It's people who are just part of the venue as workers. You can talk to everyone and network. You never know what someone else knows. You never know what you can learn from somebody.
The person portraying mute juror number 7 today, that's often a writer or producer or a lead actor on other days.
If I could go back in time and tell myself these things, it would be kind to yourself, be kind to yourself.
But I would say don't be content to remain or be a shadow, to be a mute. Make sure you ask yourself honest questions. Do you have the courage to go beyond this job?
So always keep your mind open, be ready to grow. This field can take you as far as you want it to. If it's your passion, stick with it. It's something I plan to never give up, and I hope to always be around doing this.
If you were meant for this work, that first 12 hours is going to fly by.
The goal is to be in a Marvel movie, but that's the goal. But definitely, you can always work in small projects, and I'm only working in projects that I think is very interesting. Like this project, for example, is like educating and helping others. If my stories can help other people learn and become better, I'll definitely help out with that, give out that free advice. But I think the goal is that to be noticed, to be in all these films, and work with all these great actors, and have the all these credits, like IMDb credits, and have this experience that I can share with my friends and family.
But to be able to say you're on set, and to be able to say that you're an actor in that particular show or that film, it's all worth it.
You'll probably never find such fascinating scenery and coworkers in any other field. And don't spend your entire day at the crafty table. I've been doing that for 3 years now, and now 80% of my pants don't fit.